It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown.
Fields stumbling, trying to cut it back. Justin Fields making magic happen. There goes Fields. Touchdown!
Hurts on first down, fires downfield. It's Deshaun Jackson back in the lineup. Missed the last 7 games, and he will take it 81 yards. A somersault into the end zone. His first touchdown of the season.
You're listening to The Pigskin Project, the world's #1 football podcast. Now, with more insights on all things football, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen and Ryan Matthews.
Well, it is, if you guys look to my left here, it is not Ryan Matthews. It is Matt. It is always fun and interesting when I'm the host of this because Ryan does all the behind-the-scenes stuff, so it's going to be a little choppy and whatnot. But also it's fun because most of the time when Ryan is not here, which we all love Ryan, but most of the time when Ryan's not here, it usually means Matt is filling in his spot, which we love to see. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk some ball. As I tell you guys every single time, I'm just excited to talk some ball because I'm a ball knower.
Yeah, you are a ball knower. Gosh, I can't, dude. We are ticking away. Don't get me wrong. Love the football season. We are ticking away to draft season. It's actually awful.
Big draft news today,
dude. It's Anyways, no. So we're gonna jump right into where we do each and every week, weekly news.
Ryan and Ben bring you weekly news.
So just right off the bat, there's not much news that went on this week. Today or this past week has been a pretty light on news, but there's been a couple significant things that I thought worth mentioning to our wonderful viewers. Kyler Murray will be playing this week, which will be really interesting. Maybe Kyler Murray can play his team out of position, and maybe we'll actually see him be a Cardinal. I know my hottest take before the season started was we never see Kyler Murray the Cardinals uniform. Obviously, that it was a hot take for a reason, that's for sure. Pokemon card trader Blake Martinez is coming out of retirement and is signing with the Panthers, which is really fun. Like I said, he was a leading tackler for the Giants, I think 2 years ago, and then he went into retirement to sell Pokemon cards. But then he got banned for something. I don't quite know the details.
Because he's a scammer.
Scammer, is that what happened? Was he scamming people?
Apparently, I've just heard he's Pokemon card scandal and he was scamming people. I don't know the gist. I didn't read into it.
That's wild. I did not know that. Well, there you go. Good. He can fall on an NFL career, I guess. What a backup plan. Carson Wentz finally has signed with the team. He signed with the Rams after Brett Rippon did not move the needle at all. I mean, I'm not surprised, but it just did not look good. And it's a full circle moment here too, because back in that draft, it would have been 2016. I think it was 2016. It was, yeah. It was Eagles 2, Rams 1, and they really had to play this. Play the cards, whether they wanted to go Goff, whether they wanted to go Wentz. As you guys know at this point, they went Goff. Wentz came here. Goff is now somewhere else. And now, full circle moment, Wentz is a Ram. Justin Jefferson has had his 21-day or 3-week window open for IR. So within the 3 weeks, he'll come off IR and we'll see him playing. Most of the time, we see a player come off of this, and then we'll usually play that game. But they have come out and said that they're more than happy taking it slow. Probably won't see him this week. We might see him next week. We don't know. And then kind of the last tidbit of news this week is Will Levis has been named the full-time starter. They're benching Tannehill, and it looks like they're moving forward with Levis, which is awesome for me. I mean, I talked about this last podcast with Ryan that I'm pumped for it. because I was a Levis guy. I mean, I was a Levis guy. So
Yep.
I'm kind of championing him around right now and doing a little like Will Levis victory lap. We like to see it. But you think I missed anything?
Any news? No. I mean,
No.
the draft stuff about like underclassmen can now play in all-star games. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
which came out today. So
Yes. Yep. And I plan on. We'll talk about that in College Corner, which is again awesome that we have another really big college football head with me, which we really really like to see. But then next off to our weekly recap, which was a wild week for me, but we'll get into that when we do the Pigskin Pick'em. But right off the bat, usually we go in order, but I'd be remiss to not jump straight to this Bears Saints game. Matt, what's your opinion?
everything is just like from a Saints fan perspective, everything is just hard. Like it what was it? I think I sent it out. Like the Bears in the first half at 250 total offensive yards. So they were on pace to have 500 total offensive yards with a D2, D3. What is Shepard?
Yeah,
D2?
D3. It's D3, I think.
D3 quarterback playing in his third game ever was on pace to have 500 yards. He also turned the ball over 5 times, and the Saints only won by 1 touchdown. It's just, it should have been a killing the other team moment for the Saints, and it just wasn't. And I mean, a win is a win. You don't apologize for how you win in the NFL, but still.
No. Yeah, and now that I'm 21, as we kind of talked about it last week, I bet, and I at halftime I was able to get Alvin Kamara's yards at 31 and a half or something, and I'm like, this must hit. And I remember texting you, what in the world is going on? Why are we not getting our best offensive player the ball more? It's just I don't know. And the thing that as outside looking in that scares me, if I was a Saints fan, is the fact that you guys are you guys have a winning record right now. You guys have a very or a more than decent shot right now to win your guys' division. You guys are 5-4, and you guys play the Falcons.
It's dreadful.
You guys play the Falcons 2 more times. You guys play the Panthers. You guys play the Giants right there. That seems, I don't want to say easy because it's the NFL, but it's 4 very winnable games. You guys play the Vikings next week. The Rams have not looked good. And the Buccaneers, every single game left on your guys' schedule, pretty much outside of the Lions, is a game that you could make an argument for. And of course you want your team to win, but I don't know, man. I think I'd be sad if I'm a Saints fan because you guys are just stuck in that weird purgatory again, and it's just what are you guys gonna do?
It sucks because I talked myself into the beginning of the year. We're gonna go 10-7. We're gonna be the 4 seed, and we're gonna lose to Dallas or Seattle or the Niners. Whoever is the 5 seed is just gonna be a better football team and gonna beat us. It's inevitable, and it sucks because it takes us out of this possible great quarterback class. I think at the top of those 2. There's a world where you take a quarterback in the teens if someone kind of really makes himself known as the 3rd quarterback, because I'm still on who is the 3rd quarterback right now, but it's just I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. What scares me is that you guys are gonna play just well enough to I mean my order is firmly supplanted with the quarterback, at least as of right now. Pretty cemented right now. That you guys are gonna play yourselves out of the top 4 quarterbacks. Because for me it's there's the top 2, and then there's the next 2, which is a pretty good I'd be okay with taking the next 2 within the first round. And then there's a bit of a drop off after those first 4. And I mean, I don't have to say this. I mean, you're a Saints fan, you watch him every week.
Sadly,
Derek Carr's not that guy. No. You're not. Derek Carr's not the future. And I'm worried again as an outside fan looking in that you guys are playing yourselves out of the top 4 quarterbacks. And when I say that, for those who are listening in, that's Drake May and Caleb Williams, no particular order. But then Bo Nix and Penix as well, again, in no particular order. If we are ranking them, it goes Caleb and then Drake. By the way, like that gap is like minuscule now. Like it is very much a QBA, QBB situation. I would still go Caleb because it is, which going into the season, like we were talking about him being like a generational like guy. In the last few games have been a little rough. But anyways, it's Caleb and Drake, and then a little bit of a step down. And then for me, I'm doing Penix 3 and Bo at 4. But I know you're a Bo guy. So everyone has him ranked in all different ways. But again, like that's my concern outside looking in, that you guys are playing yourself out of a situation of getting one of those top quarterbacks, and then you're just gonna do another year of Derek Carr and another year of being a 9-8 team and just keep on chugging along.
Just
for,
keep kicking
the
can
eternity
down the road. They're gonna restructure all the contracts they can. It's just gonna. It is what it is. This is what the Saints are, and like you can. What I said is you can restructure contracts when you're a Super Bowl caliber team. When you're pushing with Drew Brees at 39 years old and still playing at a high level, and Offensive Player of the Year Michael Thomas, and Alvin Kamara's got all this juice. You just can't do it when you're making the money to sign Derek Carr at $40 million. It's not.
Yes,
it's gross.
Yeah.
It's ugly, and the team's
It
old.
is.
Like it's noticeably old when you watch it play.
And another concern. I know you guys drafted. I guess we're gonna dig into the Saints a little bit before we do everything else now at this point. But like looking at the rosters as here real quick to address this, Aiden. I like McCarthy. Like I'm a big obviously I'm a McCarthy guy. McCarthy would be my 5th quarterback. I really do think it's like a two guys within like again the 4 guys that I listed, and then the 3rd tier for me right now is McCarthy and yours. But those guys are not like, as much as I'm a Michigan guy, I wouldn't want to take either of those guys in the first round right now. Yeah. But anyways, back to the Saints real quick. Like my other big concern is what are you guys doing at edge? Because I mean, Cam Jordan, he's an ageless wonder right now. It's absurd that he's playing as well as he is at his age. But outside of quarterback, that's my second biggest concern is even edge rusher.
They've kind of been doing what the Chiefs have been doing with receiver. Is they're just throwing these high draft picks at it. Oh, let's take a Peyton Turner, see if he hits. Let's take a Isaiah Foskey and see if he hits. Brian Brzee and Paulson Adebo have been the big pleasant surprises this year for me. And Granderson is I'm not sitting here and saying Granderson is going to be a top 25 edge, but if he's in a good rotation, he's stout in run defense, and he gets pressure on the quarterback. I think he's on pace to have 70 pressures this year, which is 5 a game. So he signed a contract, I think it was after week 1 for $12-13 million. So it's that was a good signing, and it feels like it's working, but it's just you got to hit on a Peyton Turner. You got to hit on a Foskey, who now Foskey's hurt now. So, I mean, he's not even going to play. He wasn't even good enough to play.
Kendrick got hurt too, didn't he?
He did, and he's not even being used. It's I feel like he's my theory is he's the backup plan for next year when we inevitably have to cut Alvin because of money concerns. I think it's just we're kind of easing him in. It's kind of a redshirt year, and then next year he's gonna be the 1A to the Jamal Williams 1B. It's
okay. He can come to the Eagles and sign for $5 million and come and win the chip.
Probably will, and
that'd be huge.
Rotation.
But no, I mean, again, I feel totally comfortable breaking down the Saints here because we spent so much time talking about the Eagles and Bears at this point. But hasn't Taylor looked really good too? I thought he's looked pretty well. No, really.
It's a scheme thing. We have three outside corners, so one of them's got to play the slot, and Alontae Taylor is kind of the odd man out, and so he's not been good in the slot this year. I think There was a game he got attacked in that Packers game. Like and it's just ever since then it's kind of been weird. It's he's got the body type to be an outside corner, and it's still a sore spot for me because I mean on the big board he was in the 150s and we took him at 49. You know, instead of like I'm not in love with the quarterbacks that were taken in 2022, but
yeah,
giving you it's a process. It's a process over everything, and it's not good process. Like I don't.
Well,
kick the can down the road is just not.
And I mean, we're talking about a not good process and a dude who is playing in the slot that probably shouldn't. And I know he's not playing in the slot now for you guys, but I mean, and it was a big conversation with everyone I was watching the game with. The Honey Badger's just not it. Like it's actually so like his fall from grace is bad.
He hit the wall. He hit the wall.
It's he shouldn't be playing like how bad he is. Like I put what is it, Lonnie Johnson? Is he your guys' backup? Yeah. I'm at the point where I'm like I would put him in over like it was actually how bad like he got burnt and how many missed tackles he's had. Like it was rough.
There was another thing I want to say about like Dennis Allen that like it infuriated me. So the game was like 7-7. And it was 3rd and 2. Badgett drops back, throws out of bounds. It's incomplete, whatever. 4th and 2, but there's a holding. Dennis Allen accepts the holding call. 3rd and 12. Badgett scrambles for 13 on 3rd and 12. And they ended with a touchdown. And I just like, in that moment, I was like, at this point, when do we have to hit a point where it's like, yeah, this guy's not good enough to be a head coach? Like the Raiders did with McDaniels. Like, the Raiders are like, oh, we'll give him the second chance. Oh, wait, he's not good enough to be a head coach. Let's just cut the cord. And I don't think Gail Benson is ever going to do that. I don't think Mickey Loomis is ever going to do it because they're going to be 10-7 with an awful record or with an awful schedule, and we're going to be hosting a playoff game. And it is what it is. Like, it sucks that like we are dangerously mid. That is what we are. It's there's nothing else to really like. You can get excited about the receivers. Like I love the juice on this team. Olave and Shaheed and Michael Thomas is this still ball winning X that he is. Alvin Kamara. A.T. Perry. Like he's finally getting active. He was healthy and active for the first like 7 weeks. So there's a lot of parts of this team that like make me want to watch, but it sucks. I watch so many football teams. The guy in Houston is just unbelievable right now. And I'm like, man, that'd be cool to just have even the Commanders in Sam Howell. Like it'd be fun to just run around. Like just there's no expectations. Let's just go out there and throw this $1 million quarterback and go like this could solve our financial problems, or it doesn't work and no one's mad. You know? Oh, it's a 5th round pick. Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I'm all for you guys cutting Derek Carr, hitting the reset button, and then I don't think it'd be possible, especially with your guys' pick, but like drafting Ewers in the 2nd round. That'd be fun. I'm all for it.
We don't have our own 2nd, but we have Denver's 2nd. So Denver's 2nd would be a top 40 pick. So
yeah,
I think the way the picks go is we have our 1st, we have their 2nd, and then there's nothing else day 2. So if you want to take a quarterback, I feel like you got to get into that pick 31, 32 to get the 5th-year option kind of range. But I'm Bo Nix. I've said it. I'm sold. The guy has played too much football, and he's just too good of an athlete to not try on, in my opinion.
Because I think the Eagles own your guys' 2nd round pick.
Probably at this point, probably.
No, I think because it was for the Penning trade.
Yeah, it was the Penning trade.
It was a Trevor Penning trade.
Who was also benched in like week 4.
He was just playing bad, and I mean you knew it like right away.
He's a great run blocker. He's a great run blocker. Like my thing has been the whole time, like the Bucks did with Wirfs. Like, you have a great right tackle. Oh, let's slide him over to left tackle, see what he's got. No, we're gonna slide the rookie Penning, who has issues in pass protection, to left tackle. Like, let's not try Ramczyk over there. No, we're gonna put the rookie over there, who's just all athlete, no technique.
Well, and the thing too about him, like more specifically, and
Also,
getting into the
Tyler
gritty of
Smith is
it-
a stud too, so that's also a bummer because I loved Tyler Smith.
Oh yeah. You didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
He's been killing it there. What? He's their left guard. Yeah, he's shut. He. I think
He
in like
shut down
32.
Jalen Carter.
Yep, and like 32 pass rushing reps, he didn't even get like a pressure on him.
Yeah.
Which is just absolutely insane.
Again,
and then
the process. Again, the process. Just
yeah, the process just isn't quite there yet. And then just the one last thing that I just want to note before we actually dive into weekly review and whatnot, or weekly recap, that I just want to point out while I have you here. And I'm sure as a Saints fan, you feel even worse than what I do about this, but the whole Taysom Hill thing is just it drives me insane because I hate it. I hate it, but it's so maddening because it works. I'm just like, it's so annoying. It is like one of my least favorite things in football right now because he gets as many touches and he shouldn't, but he produces. He
produces. There it is. Yeah. it's one of those things. Like I want to find his contract right now because it's like, oh yeah, Taysom Hill has 2 void years on his contract too. Just he will make $10 million next year, and the year after I think and the whole, I remember when the whole thing went down, and all Schefter reported was what the agent told him. So the agent told him it was like 4 for 80 or something like that, and then it was like if he's a quarterback. Starting quarterback, then he makes this money. If he's just a gadget player, he makes $10 million. And then I'm like, Saints fans are like, oh, what a deal, what a deal. I'm like screaming, why are we paying a 30-year-old gadget player $10 million when we don't have a quarterback? Like, that's my issue. And then we got a quarterback, and it's just not working.
It's just mediocrity.
It's 10-7 playoff loss to Dallas. Like, that's what's gonna happen. Like, put it on Flamin' Hot Takes, like, and I won't be surprised. It's gonna happen.
Yep. Sorry, excuse me, guys. Yeah, but to kick off kind of weekly review, Thursday night football, Titans versus Steelers. It went pretty much the exact way that me and Ryan said it was gonna go. I said Will Levis, as much as I like him, he's gonna have a little bit fall down to earth against that Steelers defense. And that's exactly what happened. The Titans lost to Steelers 16-20.
Do you want to hear a fun stat about Kenny Pickett?
I'd love to hear it. Oh, I saw it. Did you tweet this?
I retweeted that, yeah.
Yep.
Kenny
Go
Pickett
for it.
In 20 starts as a quarterback has only one game with multiple passing touchdowns. And I'm genuinely at the point where I'm asking myself the question after 2 starts, would I rather have Will Levis or Kenny Pickett? And it's really close.
It is closer than I mean, we as a podcast, but me and you specifically on this podcast had made our stance on Kenny Pickett very clear. Everyone at this point should know how we feel about Kenny Pickett. We felt the way we did through. Yeah. I mean, we said that through the draft process. We're saying it now. How much of that has to do with Matt Canada? And I guess throughout all of NFL Twitter as of the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks, there's a big crusade of get Matt Canada out of there, which I agree. But it's it's weird. I haven't often seen as many people get behind firing this offensive or defensive coordinator as much as people are with Matt Canada right now, which is
the Steelers fan base is loud. That's what I've noticed. It's I've never seen it. I watched a clip. It was at the Pat McAfee show. I think he was on the game day campus or something, and they were chanting "Fire Canada." This is It wasn't even in Pittsburgh. It's this insane trend going around that just everyone hates Matt Canada.
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't care less.
And yeah, real quick, this is what I was saying when I was screaming at my television. Aiden comments about getting your best players the ball, and it turns out to be Kamara and Taysom Hill. Yep, sadly. And then as far as our I don't want to say super early, but for me it was a super early Sunday game. I don't get up at 9:30 on Sundays, but I did for this one. The Dolphins versus Chiefs played in Frankfurt, Germany. The Chiefs pulled away 21-14. Shockingly, a defensive battle. Not as much offensive production as we would have thought. And like an offense being scored off of like a weird like fumble strip, like Tyreek Hill, which was just wild. And then to kick off our noon slate, the Vikings with the Passnaut that is Joshua Dobbs. The Passnaut. I love it. Beat the Falcons. Like this is one of the wildest stories like in football so far. But just like this year, but then also like over the last 3 years and like everything Joshua Dobbs has been through. With like the Steelers and at one point the Jags and back to the Steelers and then the Titans and the Browns and the Cardinals and now the Vikings. But the fact that he got traded in the middle of the week, didn't know his wide receivers like names and like had to practice his cadence on the sidelines before coming in and then ended up winning this game is absolutely absurd. He's just one of the easiest guys to root for in all of the NFL. The Vikings end up beating the Falcons 31-28, and Arthur Smith busted my parlay.
I don't know if I've ever told you this. So Josh Dobbs holds like a special place in my heart. So in like 8th grade, because he was the 2017 draft, right?
Yes.
So when he was coming out, I remember it was April, and I was in English class in 8th grade, and like it was free write day or something, because every week that would be like you're free write for 2 or 3 paragraphs. I think it was 3 paragraphs, 5 sentences. Josh Dobbs was the first player I ever draft evaluated, and I did it for that pre-write class. And I was like, I gotta find it. Because like I remember I talked about, because I watched videos for it. I was like watching people talk about him, and I was like all in. I was like, oh man, this guy Josh Dobbs is kind of sick. And
well,
and yeah. So I like at that point, like it just holds a special place in my heart that Josh Dobbs, last year he got signed in like January to play for the Titans. Yep. And now he's the starting quarterback of a possible playoff football team, the Minnesota Vikings. It's unbelievable. It's awesome.
JJ's coming back now too. Like it's
awesome.
It's a fun story. Well, and I remember when he got drafted, he got picked with like the exact pick number that Dak Prescott got picked. Everyone's like, oh, like watch out, like Yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh, the next Dak Prescott" and everything. It was always a fun storyline to follow there.
Mason Rudolph like the next year.
Yeah. But hey, look, Aiden, I know you're in the chat. Your Packers actually finally won a game. Go Packers! The Packers beat the Rams 20-3 in a game that Brett Rippon looked awful to the point that they should have start throwing Stetson Bennett in at that point. Like,
well, he can't. He's on the exempt list. I thought the same exact.
He's still on the exempt list.
Not the exempt. What's the other one? He's on like IR. Or something.
Like non-football related.
Yeah, what is it? He was placed on for illness, so I think he's in a mental battle right now.
I remember during the off season or like the first week or two, like Sean McVay came out saying that he's like, he's okay. That makes sense now. And that makes sense as to why
McVay hit a point where it's like, I'm not doing this Brett Rippon thing again. I'll just sign someone who can play football. Like Wentz can't play it well, but he can play football.
Well, and that was another conversation me and Ryan had while watching like one of them. Like it's funny that like Matt Ryan too has just been like, I'm not retiring, but I'm just gonna take a year off and commentate games instead. I'm honestly surprised a couple teams haven't reached out and tried to sign him. I know he did not look good, but like I don't know. But yeah, so Brett Rippon stinked in that game. Obviously, that's why they went out and signed Carson Wentz. Commanders versus Patriots. Commanders ended up winning 20-17. There's not much there. Sam Howell's fun to watch, but both teams are mediocre at best. And the Patriots, by the way, like might be one of the worst situations in football right now. Like, and it's rough. Like to the point that like it's bad that like it's getting bad when you're like wanting to fire your Hall of Fame head coach, and it's just I don't know. If I'm a head coach, I would pull a Ben Johnson and say I'm not leaving whatever situation I am to come and be a head coach there with the Patriots. It's just not worth my career at this point. But moving on to the Seahawks versus Ravens, as I said in the last episode, I'm going to continue to ride with the Ravens, and it is working so well. It's great. The Ravens absolutely like demolished the Seahawks 37-3 to the point like Tyler Huntley was playing like pretty much the entire fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And then this is the game I wanted to touch on a little bit more. Bucks versus Texans, like just an absolute shootout. Like this game almost reached 80 points. And I'm sure me and you were both on the same page here, Matt. This was the game that like CJ, and knock on wood, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to jinx anything. CJ could tear his ACL and he would still win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Like it has looked phenomenal. And the fact that he like had 5 passing touchdowns, went down the field, secured the win. It looks even worse too when you look at the Panthers and you're seeing what Bryce Young is doing, and then you hear all the news about how like Josh McCown, their quarterback coach, wanted CJ Stroud, and Frank Reich wanted CJ Stroud, and everyone in the building wanted CJ Stroud, but the owner was like, "Nope, give me Bryce Young,
Give me the 5'9" guy."
Yeah. So, but he's looking phenomenal, and right now he is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, which is wild. I would have never expected that. That's for sure. But that's the beauty of football. So, what are your thoughts on CJ throughout the first 9 weeks?
My comp for him, my favorite comp I found for him was like everyone was like he could be a supercharged version of Goff or Dak or Kirk. He looks like he's already there, and we're 8 games in. Like it's unbelievable. And I want to give a shout out to, I don't know if anyone really knows his name, but Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator of the
he might be getting job offers this year.
It's unbelievable. Like I think he was an offensive assistant for the Niners. So apparently if you're just around the Niners, you're just going to understand what works in the NFL. Like the amount of just basic concepts they run, it's like, and he's doing it with an offensive line that I think still has 3 starters on IR, a run game that I think in this game against the Buccaneers averaged 2 yards a carry. If you take away his little like triple option play, I think it was at 2 yards per carry, and it's been like that all year. And he's still in games, and he's still winning games like this. In 40 seconds, he goes down and scores with in 75 yards. Yeah, quick math. But he's been unbelievable. It's crazy, and it sucks for Panthers fans. Hey, you got your win against him, but oh, by the way, the guy the next week is going to throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. I don't know what to say. Except he is, I've said this, he is my favorite quarterback to watch right now because he's doing everything at such a mastery level, and he's so young. The sky is the limit for CJ Stroud right now. That people are throwing on Twitter, would you rather have CJ Stroud or Trevor Lawrence? And people are saying CJ Stroud, which is, it's crazy to think, but it's closer than it thinks. If you're getting 4 years of cheap CJ Stroud over, 2 more cheap years of Lawrence, I understand where you're coming from. It's still a stretch to me, but at this point, I'm not going to argue with it. I'm not.
No, well, and that was like I hate to be that guy. This was something I was gonna wait for a little bit. Fun segment, but we'll do it now because you already talked about it. Like if you're starting a franchise right now, taking contracts into consideration, taking age into consideration, and like you're taking the player as he is with whatever his contract is. How many quarterbacks, like honestly, and I hate to be the person to overreact. He's only played 8 games or 9 games or whatever it is. I don't know if they've already had their bye. To overreact to like this, 9-game stretch or whatnot, because we've seen it before. But like right now, how many quarterbacks are you taking over him, taking age and contract into consideration if you're starting a franchise? Realistically, I'm taking Pat Mahomes. It's Pat. I just can't. I'm taking Pat Mahomes. I'm taking Joe Burrow, and I'm taking Jalen Hurts. And then after that, and I could see people not even putting Hurts in there. I think Hurts has balled out the last few weeks and has looked like the guy that we thought he was. But besides the point, like outside of those 3 guys, at that point, I would firmly put Lamar in front of CJ still. I think Lamar is absolutely on a tear. But outside of like those 4 guys, I mean, I could see an argument for you saying CJ Stroud. It's absurd. And I'm saying that like even over Josh Allen. I mean, again, I'm not saying he's a better quarterback than Josh Allen by any means. If I had to win 1 game, if I had to win 2 games,
Yeah, it's a clear like. Would you rather have player A, who is a B+ to A- at what a fifth of the contract of player B, who is an A to A+, but also makes C- mistakes. Like,
yes.
That's the thing about CJ Stroud that like gets me, is that the only interception he threw was against the Saints, and I remember it. The way, like, because I watched the All-22, he looked off the linebacker, and he's just, because it was a little Hank curl concept, like stick, and he looks off the linebacker. The linebacker, he expects the linebacker to move. The linebacker doesn't move because it's Zach Bond, and he's not used to being in coverage. So he doesn't move. CJ Stroud throws it throws it with the anticipation and throws it right to Zach Bond. And it's just like, CJ Stroud's going, why the hell are you there? I looked you off, and you didn't move. You're just the best coverage linebacker in the world. But no, it was literally just Zach Bond being 2 steps behind. That's the only interception he's thrown all season long. He's
not making the rookie mistakes, which is like he's balling out without making the rookie mistakes. I mean, he's like you were saying, he's a Jared Goff, like on just raging steroids. Like I don't even want to say Jared Goff right now. I mean, Jared Goff is good, but he's even playing miles ahead of what like Jared Goff is. But to move on, because I'm sure people have had CJ Stroud already jammed down their throats. The Cardinals lost 0-27 to the Browns, and my main takeaway is they're really, really lucky Kyler's coming back when Kyler's coming back. It's Clayton Tune just looked like an absolute disaster. I mean, Clayton Tune was not drafted to be a starting quarterback. He was drafted to be a backup quarterback, but he did not look good. It doesn't help that he's going against arguably the best.
To the Wolves. Yeah,
arguably the best defense, a top 3
they
defense
got a pick
for sure.
Josh Dobbs. That's why they did it.
Yes, yeah. So they got absolutely destroyed. Not much there again besides the Browns defense just looking like the Browns defense. And then the Colts beat the Panthers 27-13. Again, the Panthers continue to not look very good.
2 Bryce Young
outside of their game against Texas, I guess.
And so, even that, they
know.
scored 15
and honestly,
points.
Like Minshew's looking a little bit better than I would have hoped.
The Shane Steichen effect.
Uh-oh. Hold on here, guys. My headphones got disconnected. But no, the Shane, it really, well, it's funny that you say that though, the Shane Steichen effect, which I would agree. I mean, Shane Steichen is one of the better offensive minds in the NFL. He doesn't get credit for it. But like, he did not look good with the Eagles last year.
No,
Shane
he
Steichen was
looked good in that Dallas game. He looked bad against the Saints, but he looked good.
He looked awful against the Saints. Like, it was actually like might have been one of the worst like quarterback games I've seen in an Eagles uniform in quite some time. It was rough. But he did. I do think Devontae Smith helped him a little bit, but I mean, it's Devontae Smith, right? But again, it's games like this which make you realize how far behind the curve the Panthers really are. And just to round it out, I'm just going to pound out all of these games. I'm going to touch on one of them. We'll come back to it, but I'm going to pound out these last four real quick. The Giants lost to the Raiders 6-30. I mentioned it on the podcast last week, something you said. There's really something two teams winning with the interim head coach, but also Aiden looked really good. The Eagles end up beating the Chargers in a very, very close game, way closer than what it should, 28-23. The Bengals beat the Bills in a game that felt a lot it felt like the Bengals lead was a lot bigger than what it actually was. The Bengals end up winning 24-18. And then to round out the week on Monday Night Football, no surprise here, the Chargers end up beating the Jets 27-6. But just real quick, the Eagles, that game was, again, way closer than what it should have been, especially the last minute. But again, good teams find ways to win.
Game of
the
inches.
Eagles
Game of inches. Dak's foot is out on the 2-point conversion. They get the 4th and goal stop. Like
that Jake Ferguson thing. Oh my gosh, it's like inches. It really is. 1 yard goes the other way, and it's a completely different game. But good teams, great teams find a way to win games. But then the game I wanted to touch on a little bit more, and very specifically the Raiders. Again, there's something to like this intern head coach thing, dude. Like, they just find a way to win. Given finally they had a smart head coach that thought to themselves, hey, we're paying this running back $14 million a year. Let's give him 26 carries. And it worked. It worked really, really well. Josh Jacobs had almost 100 yards, 2 touchdowns on 26 carries. Again, almost 4 yards a carry, which is not amazing, but it's fine. I mean, it got the job done. But then Aiden O'Connell looked like the best, like it was the best quarterback game we've seen from the Raiders all year. I don't know. I don't know how much I'm ever going to trust the interim head coach here with the Raiders, because Mark Davis has shown even if you have an interim head coach that can turn stuff around, you don't always make the right hire. I'm blanking on his name now, but 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Yeah, I don't know how you didn't hire him. That was like the most craziest turnaround I've ever seen. And maybe it was like the Freddie Kitchens effect where like he turned the team around, but then ended up being like really bad. But like, I don't know how they didn't hire him. He darn near almost got that team to the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing here. Yeah. But there are a lot of good head coaches or like head coaching candidates this year. A lot of sleeper guys. I've obviously the clear one's Ben Johnson, but I have never been the defensive head coach guy. I've made my stance on a defensive head coach on podcasts quite clear, but there are some very good like defensive coordinators that I could see making very good like head coaches. Very specifically, Lou's been. I don't know how Lou didn't get a job last year. Bengals DC for those who don't know what I'm talking about. But then also McDonald from the Ravens, who was a wild story. He started off as like the linebacker head coach of the Ravens, and then was the DC for Michigan, and now he's the DC for the Ravens. And now he might be a head coach somewhere, which is like he's killing it. But also like if Harbaugh leaves, I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan is like, come and be our head coach, which I wouldn't quite mind, which would be funny if he bounces back and forth. But anyways, your thoughts on the Raiders?
I don't know if you saw the quote before the game, but Antonio Pierce was asked about like the star players, and he said like just like the Cowboys, just like you knew the Cowboys in the '90s were going to give the ball to Emmett and Irvin, we're going to give the ball to Jacobs and Devontae Adams. And Devontae Adams had 4 catches, but like besides the point, like he understands we're going to lean on these players. We're not going to try and be the smartest guy in the room like I feel like Josh McDaniels is trying to do, and the guy in Atlanta's trying to do right now too. But it's just simple. Like, it was a simple game. It was like, because I have the Sunday ticket, so I see every game.
Yeah.
Of the like second half slate, and it was just Josh Jacobs' show. It was just Josh Jacobs. Let's go play sound defense against Tommy DeVito, who is a Goodfellas character. Like it was just.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Like, it also, like, I want to talk about the Giants. Like, what do the Giants do now? Like, are the Giants, like, firmly in, like, we want the number 1 pick? We're going to play Tommy DeVito the rest of the year because we are going to get
Yeah, Daniel Jones. I can't believe I didn't had it written down on my script and just
like,
didn't.
Sucks.
Which it does. Daniel Jones popped his Achilles and is out for the rest of the season. I can't believe I forgot about that. That's wild that I did that. Yeah, but like it really does suck. I feel bad for the guy. Like, do I think the Giants shouldn't have faded in the offseason? Yes, but like I feel bad for him on that human level. Like it really it sucks.
It was his first game back. Like he had a neck stinger and then comes back after 3 weeks, and it was like the second drive. It was It sucks.
Yeah. And then I guess since you now mentioned it, yeah. And by the way, like you might just, if you're the Giants and you're the head coach there, you're thinking maybe let's just tank our way to Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I think Dable's the thing is does Dable have the trust of ownership? I think he should because of the way they performed last year. Does he have the trust of the ownership to go to the ownership and go, can I be bad and still be here next year? Because you saw the way I developed the guy in Buffalo. Like, let me stay. Let me be bad this year. We'll go get Drake May. We'll go get Caleb Williams, whichever one. And we're going to figure this out. We're going to bring a big name to New York, and it's going to figure itself out. Because it's... I don't know. I didn't have as high hopes as some people, because I remember some people said they were expecting the playoffs for this team. But
yeah,
I didn't think it would be this bad.
No, I didn't think they would be this bad, but I really do think like their success last year really accelerated their timeline, and they jumped off of what they wanted to do because they're like, oh shoot, we made it to playoffs. We had a playoff win. Like
that's how the Maras are, though. I think it was more Mara influence than the two, like Dable and Joe Shane.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah, they wanted to kind of jump on that, but it just, I don't know. Like their timeline was working for them, and I feel like they kind of threw that out the window. But then the last thing here, because you touched on it, and then we do have to move on after this. I feel like we've been talking about it forever, but it always happens. These are always longer podcasts. You freaking touched on it, man. Arthur Smith. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but we talked about it more on the Viking side. It is astounding that Jonnu Smith led the team in receptions, and then you turn around and you give Tyler Algier more carries than what you gave your running back who you drafted in the top 10. Like, I don't know what it is about Arthur Smith, but he just has the inability to get the touches to the guys that he drafted high. And it is going to drive me wild, and I feel so bad for Bijan, dude. I love Bijan, and the fact that he is stuck in this awful, nightmarish offense, it's just it is quite tragic.
Yeah, like this game, I want to find it because I think the reason he didn't play a lot in that fourth quarter was because he did fumble earlier in the game.
Yeah.
Bijan did fumble, so that I think it was kind of a like It's just what old school coaches do. Like, oh, you fumbled. Oh, you can't hang on the football. Go sit down for 5 minutes. Like, you're not going to play the next drive. But it just keeps happening. And, like, I know the fantasy community is killing Arthur Smith for Bijan Robinson. Yeah. And it's like, it's fine when your team's winning and you're doing well. But when you're just doing all this unique stuff, and it's just not to get the best player on the field the ball, and you're losing, it's accelerate. Like, it is 2 times the amount of discourse that it should be. Like, I think there was a video posted today of like a 5-minute press conference of like, I didn't watch it because I knew it would be nothing, because the guy is just a as people say, he's a yap machine. He just talks to hear himself talk. And I don't like that. I don't think that's a good head coach. And
no.
and also, like, I'm not the biggest Desmond Ridder guy, but for him to be the, like, Desmond's our quarterback, and then he goes, oh, we're gonna try this. We're gonna try Heineke. By the way, you know, we think Heineke puts us in a better position to win games. Okay, all right, okay.
Fine. Yeah, it just...
I trust you now. Like, it just, you do you, dude.
Yeah, I don't know how you can look at Bijan's stats and see that he's averaging over or exactly 5 yards a carry, which is good. Has over 500 rushing yards on minimal attempts, and has just under 200 receiving yards. And you look at like the Packers game where he rushed for 19 yards and 19 attempts and 124 yards, or the Jaguars game where he rushed for 14 attempts, averaged 100 or 7.5 yards a carry, and in total rushed for 105 yards. And I don't know how you can look at performances like that and then turn around and be like, no, 11 carries for you. It's astonishing. But all right, we have talked enough about kind of what this last week. So we'll go ahead and kind of move on to this next week. We're going to start where we always do. Upset alert.
Just when you thought it was safe to play the underdog, we put you on upset alert.
So you're an average watcher, or I know you watch podcasts. There was not like many big upsets that like I was a fan of. I felt confident in choosing a little bit this week. But the 3 or 4 that I have, the 3 I have on the list this week are the Lions versus Chargers. I could see the Chargers continue rolling as much as I'm not a Staley guy. There's a blueprint out there to beat the Lions, given it's a hard blueprint to complete. You can still do it. And Herbo's he's just fun to watch. Saints versus Vikings. I have no clue why this is considered an upset, but no offense to you, the Saints are like favored according to Vegas, and that just like I don't know what it is, but Josh Dobbs is fun to root for, and I would not be at all surprised if Vikings end up winning that game. So I put them on upset alert, and I know this one's going to be hot. We talked about this kind of in like the pre-podcast lobby. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the Texans could give the Bengals a run for their money right now. The Bengals are playing at the top of their game right now, but something about this Texans team, dude, they're scrappy. I know they lost to the Panthers, but they're gonna be fun to freaking watch. But what are some teams that people should watch out for upset alert this week?
The Niners are favored on the road against the Jaguars, who the Jaguars have not lost since week 3 against this Texans team. And in that stretch, they've beaten the Bills and gone on the road and beaten the Saints on Thursday Night Football. So I think that the Jags not being favored at home is a little disrespectful, especially because the Niners are on a 3-game losing streak. The Cardinals. Let's go all in. The Cardinals are dogs by 1.5 points against the Falcons at home in the Kyler Murray return. I think it means something to the Cardinals and Kyler Murray, and I'm gonna take Kyler Murray over Taylor Heineke or Desmond Ridder, whoever is starting there. I think the Falcons are a better team overall, but we're just looking at quarterbacks here, because that's fun. And then you mentioned it, like the Bengals and Texans. I think the Texans are playing some of the best offensive football in the league right now. And if we get a shootout between C.J. Stroud and Joe Burrow, I'll be on the ground like this. So.
Yeah. There's definitely some fun games to watch this week
also,
for sure.
Jamar Chase is. I think he could be out this week.
He could be out. Yes, he could be out. But now we will go into.
You think you know football? Well, prove it. This is Pigskin Pick'em.
So we'll do a little bit of review of what last week looked like. But first, in a more PG version of what Ryan wanted me to say to you guys, this is what Ryan has me written down. Ryan got his butt kicked. Definitely not the word he used. Got his butt kicked so bad that he decided to drop out of the podcast altogether this week. And he did not want to show his face on this episode. But he said on to next week. For those who are wondering why Ryan said that, Ryan went 4-8 last week. Not a good look. Not good at all. But then when you pair that along with me going 11-1, like I said, almost being Arthur Smith and the Falcons, it creates an even bigger divide. You don't say never. I came back from a wide margin of like 22 losses last year at one point, and I ended up with a better record than Ryan did. So he definitely could come back and beat. But right now, he is 74-59, and I am 88-45. So I'm doing well for myself right now. Yeah, almost, man. It's looking good. But yes, that is what Ryan wanted me to say. I have his picks as well for you guys. But just to start off, again, Thursday Night Football tomorrow. I wish I could say it was going to be a good one, but all the primetime game this week kind of suck. But the primetime games next week are all going to be like really good primetime games. But yeah, that's going to be Panthers versus Bears. I could see this game going either way. I'm going to say the Bears. If it's Bagent, I'm going to say the Panthers. If it's Fields, I'm going to take the Bears. Eberflus wasn't very transparent with what's going to happen there at quarterback with his, ups and downs there with Fields, with him being doubtful and not playing. But then maybe he's playing. He's at 51%. You were talking about yapping with Arthur Smith. Eberflus is almost the same way. But I'm going Bears over Panthers, and Ryan too is also going Bears over Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, I'll join you guys on that side. I think just going based off of what I saw against the Saints, the Bears moved the ball. The Panthers barely moved the ball. So I get this game means more for each team because the Panthers don't have their pick and the Bears have their pick. So it's kind of this tussle on Thursday Night Football, and Bryce Young going into Chicago, like whatever. But I think the over under of this game, I think is like almost 40. It's 38.5.
Yeah,
I'd bet the under on that. I personally.
Yes, we will get into Pigskin Payout too, which would be really fun to see. Have an outsider's kind of view on our betting habits here. And the funny too, I really hope Fields plays, because going into the draft, which isn't looking too good now, I said I'd rather have Bryce Young over Fields, but little do I know both of them are going to suck. So, here we are. But then our really early game at 9:30, we're playing another game in Germany in Frankfurt. That's Colts versus Pats. I could really see this game going either way. Like I said, the Patriots look like they're in one of the worst situations of football right now. Shane Steichen is him, and Gardner Minshew is playing well, so it's hard for me to pick the Patriots. I could see it happening, but I'm not. I'm going to pick the Colts. And Ryan is doing exactly what Ryan's going to do, and he's going to pick the Patriots in this one.
Go Ryan. So So we were supposed to get a shootout between the Dolphins and Chiefs, right? And we got a defensive battle. So that means this one has to be a shootout, right? Like that's how.
Oh God, dude! Imagine,
so
dude.
we're gonna get a Gardner Minshew, Mac Jones, just masterclass, correct? Like that's what I'm expecting.
Just
Because I'm
DeMario.
not gonna wake up for this game. I'm not gonna set my alarm for 8:30 Central so I can cheer on my couch and watch Mac Jones and Gardner Minshew play football. I'm gonna take the Colts. I don't want anything to do with this Patriots team. I'm out on Mac Jones, and as someone who was going into the year, and I was like, I think I had a take where I was like, there's not much of a difference between Mac Jones and Tua. I am eating my words, and I am completely wrong on that, and I will own that up. Mac Jones ain't it. It hasn't been it all season. I thought Billy Bob would figure him out, and he just can't. Mac Jones, bad. Get Drake May in New England.
Yes,
And,
dude.
and the dynasty continues.
Oh God, that might be like one of the most nightmarish situations. Gosh.
Let's manifest it.
Let's not manifest it. But yeah, you're right, dude. Demario Douglas and Josh Downs are going to combine for like 7 touchdowns in this game.
Yeah.
Browns at Ravens. I know the Browns defense is looking good, and if any defense is going to slow down the Ravens right now, it's going to be the Browns defense. But really, outside of that one really bad game, as long as the Ravens pass catchers are catching the football, the Ravens offense is that defense. Like I said, the Browns might be a top 3 defense. The Ravens are also a top 3 defense. So when it comes down to it, I'm going to pick the offense I like better, and that's going to be the Ravens. And I have the Ravens winning this one. Ryan, too, also has the Ravens winning this one.
Yeah. I just looked at the Ravens. Do you know what their 2 losses are? Their 2 losses are the weird game, like the rain game in September against the Colts, in which the Colts kicker made 4 field goals over 50 yards. Never happened. And the game against the Steelers, where the Steelers offense was lifeless the entire game until a random go ball in the final 5 minutes was thrown to George Pickens and he scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 losses for Baltimore. I understand. I'm starting to understand why people have this team as the number 1 team in the NFL. I thought this would take a year with Todd Monken. It's clearly hitting a stride. I'm taking the Ravens. Ride the Ravens wagon until it breaks down at this point, because it doesn't seem like it's at any point of slowing down.
Yeah. Next one, Packers versus Steelers. This one just sucked to pick. This game could really go either way.
Game.
This is an assy game. I know we talked all that trash about Pickett and whatnot, but I am going to pick the Steelers to win this one just because I think TJ is going to have a field day with poor Jordan Love. It's not like it's going to be bad. So I'm going to have the Steelers win this one in a not so fun game to watch. Sadly, Ryan too will also have the Steelers win this one.
Yeah, the Steelers are like the AFC Saints, right? Like they just look miserable for three and a half quarters, and they just find a way. Like last week, it was against the Titans. It was Jalen Warren having like a huge run, and then found a way to win. Deontay Johnson also had a huge game. I'm gonna take the Steelers because they're just gonna find a way. Because Mike Tomlin always finds a way. I feel like I'm shaking my fists in the air when I say that. Like, I can't stop you, Mike Tomlin.
One of the craziest stats in all of football. For those who don't know what we're referring to, Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. But then the Niners versus Jags, you touched on it a little bit. I know the Niners are coming off 3 straight losses, but I really think that the bye week could not have come at a better time. I know I talked about it in the offseason as well, that I was worried that Purdy was going to turn into a pumpkin. But it is just so gosh darn hard to not succeed in this offense, and I really think Kyle Shanahan's going to find a way. The Jags are a gritty team, but I do think the Niners are going to pull out.
Yeah, I'm gonna fade you. I'm gonna go Jaguars. I think.
I hope. I would want nothing more.
This Jaguars team, like this defense, is a pleasant surprise because they didn't add any big name in the offseason. They kind of they didn't draft anyone in the first 3 rounds. I think they drafted all offense. And you're kind of like, this is what we have. Trayvon Walker still isn't broken out. Josh Allen, the edge rusher, has broken out. He is incredible this year. But yeah, this defense has been very good. And if the Jaguars can make this a race to 20, I trust the Jaguars. I do. And I think I'm going to take the Jaguars in this one.
Wow, I like that. And then moving on to a fun game for me. I don't know how fun it is going to be for you. But the Saints versus Vikings. I am going to pick the Vikings to win this one. Purely just riding the Josh Dobbs train at this point. They are a better team, and there is a slight chance that JJ is going to be coming back in this one. So I am going to go with the Vikings. But again, mainly this is a hard pick. I'm just picking them because of Josh Dobbs, the pass or not. And Ryan is also, again, going to pick the Vikings, but it is going to get a little bit more fun, a little bit different, hopefully soon here with these picks.
Yeah, I'm excited for this game because I'm going to be watching it with my grandfather, who is a lifelong Vikings fan. It's purple, and I watched the Meaningless Miracle with him, and it is still shaking me to the core. I've never heard him yell that loud in my life, but yeah, I'm gonna take my football team. I'm gonna take the Saints. I'm done with the Josh Dobbs story. We're gonna get a week of Josh Dobbs in this offense. The Saints are just gonna pile on him, and it's gonna be I don't know. Let's do score prediction too. It's gonna be 16-14 Saints. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't even want to watch that game.
I love it.
Well, we're gonna do score predictions for the next one. It's gonna be Texans versus Bengals, and it's gonna be like combined like 95 points. It's gonna be phenomenal. Yeah. I really don't think Lou is gonna let that happen. I mean, we spent 10 minutes or 5 minutes talking about CJ and how fun he's been, but I think the Bengals have one of the most underrated defenses in the league, with Lou back there calling the plays. And Jamar Chase or not, Joe Burrow is looking like the guy he was. He's looking like the guy that got paid. And I'm going to pick the Bengals to win this one.
I think it was. Oh man, it's gonna kill me because I did it because I am not. I have a not of age, but right before the Cardinals game, I remember the 1-3 Bengals were like plus 5,000 to make the Super Bowl or to win the Super Bowl. And I thought that's like tremendous value. Like this team, literally all the issue is Joe Burrow's calf is not fully healed. When Joe Burrow's calf is fully healed, this team is going to be an absolute wagon of a team. Like,
yeah.
And I'm gonna take the Bengals. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. Like this team's not dead. This team is very much alive and beating the Niners and then the Bills. And if you can just stump the Texans and CJ Stroud, who hasn't been stumped all season, this team's going to be shooting back up into top 5 of Super Bowl odds.
Yeah.
Because everyone's going to want to buy on this team when you should have bought when Joe Burrow's calf wasn't fully healthy.
Yep, exactly. And then Ryan, too, also picked the Bengals to win. See, I was hoping we were going to...
next week. Bengals Ravens. Bengals Ravens.
That's the next week's games are going to be good. Monday Night Football next week is going to be Eagles Chiefs. It's going to be the prime time. I promise you guys. Get through this week, guys. Next week's primetime games are going to be phenomenal. I was really hoping to separate my picks here with Ryan, Titans versus Bucks, but we both picked the Titans. I was hoping he was going to ride with this guy Baker, and I was going to ride with my guy Levis. But it looks like we're both riding the Levis train. And yeah, we're both going to pick Levis to win.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Titans because I don't want to pick the Bucks. That's it.
Yep. That's basically my thought process.
The Titans are 0-4 on the road. That's a fun stat.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
This added a little wrinkle in this now. No, but Derrick Henry's going to rush for 1,000 yards, and we're going to be like, whoa, he did it again.
Yeah. Lions versus Chargers for our midday slate. I'm picking the Lions. I know I talked about the Chargers. But like I said, this is where we pick different. He's gonna pick the Chargers. The Chargers just didn't impress me last week, and that's why I'm picking the Lions.
Yeah, I'm resident Lions hater here, by the way. I'm gonna take the Lions. I think coming off a bye, David Montgomery is gonna come back. This team's gonna be fully juiced up. I think they're just gonna be ready to go, and the Chargers are playing on a light week. There's going to be more Lions fans than Chargers fans. Every Chargers game is a road game, which is insane.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Lions. I think the Lions are just they're very good. They're very good. I did not expect them to be this good, but they are very good.
I'm actually going to be interested. Honestly, the main reason I'm going to watch this game, it should be a good game, and it's honestly the best game in this slate. But I'm really interested to see what the usage back there and the running back, or like the usage in the backfield is going to look like.
The way Gibbs broke out on Monday Night Football, yeah.
Yes, I mean they finally got the Jahmyr Gibbs game that we would have hoped. But I still do think it's going to be one of those situations where Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the running back between the 20s, and then 20 to goal line, it's going to be David Montgomery.
Yep.
And the fantasy fans are going to be angry and whatnot, but it's their role in the offense. They've shown
it's not as bad as the way Bijan Robinson is being used, by the way. It's not as it could be worse.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs fans.
It could be. Falcons versus Cardinals. I don't know. I have to see with Kyler first. I do think Kyler gets much more hate than what he actually is. I think he's a decent quarterback in the NFL, but people love to hate on Kyler. But it is his first game back. It's going to be an adjustment. It's a little bit of a different offense than it was, different guys than what it was. And like you said, the Falcons have a better team. Hopefully we get better Bijan usage. I'm going to go with the Falcons. Ryan went with the Cardinals.
I'm going with the Cardinals. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I think everyone in the division except the Saints are going to lose. Yeah. That's unbiased moment right there. I think I find myself appreciating Kyler more and more. It's going to be a fun offseason to see what if that team is the number 1 overall pick, what do they do?
Yeah.
Because it's the exact scenario we had with the Bears.
Well,
everyone was like, what if it's 2024, you just take the quarterback, but it's 2023 and none of these guys are gonna surefire, We're not using the word generational for any of these guys. So it's just
I mean, I said it going into the draft process. If you could trade back to the third spot, if you're the Cardinals, do it. I don't see, with the way that the Bears have their pick and the Panthers pick, I feel like it's going to be hard to put yourself in a position to trade back and then also get Marvin. But that's a dream scenario. Dude, Marvin's the best player in this class. Marvin is I'm a diehard Michigan fan. Everyone knows this, but
how
talking about Marvin puts a smile. There is I am not kidding. I went back through. I watched some more Marvin tape. There is no such thing as a perfect prospect. I cannot.
He's very close. He's very close.
It's.
I said before the year, I said before the year, it's still Chase over him, as a prospect. It's Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison we've never seen it before. And the thing,
oh my gosh.
I want to know how tiebreakers work, because the Giants are now my favorite to be the number 1 pick. I don't see them winning another game.
Yeah.
Tommy DeVito is the quarterback the rest of the year. Kyler could win you 2 or 3. He's that good. And so the Cardinals lost to the Giants. So if both teams, say the Giants pull out a weird win and they're both 3-14, do the Cardinals still get that pick? They should.
The Cardinals would get that. The Cardinals would get the lower pick.
So the Cardinals have some leeway that's the thing. Owners and front offices tank, players and coaches do not. So I think the Cardinals are, if Kyler comes back and he looks the way he looked before, this team could win 4 or 5 games. Genuinely.
It's it's gonna be so much fun. I like I said at the start, I can't wait for draft season. It's actually it's so bad that like you get so excited about draft season because you're excited to see these guys like in the actual season. But now it's the actual season. And I'm like I'm ready for the draft season.
Yeah.
But Giants versus Cowboys. We don't have to spend much time on this. Like you said, the Giants really aren't going to pretty much win any other games unless we get different news than we've got on Tyrod. But some not good news coming out about his injury, taking a little bit longer than what we would have hoped and whatnot. Easily the Cowboys. The most confident I am of all of the games this week.
Yeah. Did Ryan surprise us? What did Ryan?
No, Ryan did not surprise us.
Oh,
Imagine.
Come on, man. I'm gonna come in close here. I'm not a gambling advisor, but Dallas, take the points. I get it, 16. I get it's a lot of points, but the Tommy DeVito show in New York, I don't see that team if Daniel Jones can't score a point against this Dallas defense, Tommy DeVito's gonna have an even rougher of a time. Dallas is gonna win by plenty over 16 in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
but
yeah,
I don't see a world where the Giants are stopping Dallas after the way Dak played on Sunday, last Sunday, and the Giants are scoring points to keep up. Like I just don't.
It's going to be the Saquon show, and it's just going to be how many touches can we get Saquon? Like that's what it's going to consist of.
Until he twists his ankle now, like it's yeah.
Yeah, well, hey, you better watch out though. It's Matt Barkley time there. It's Matt Barkley time. Oh gosh, not gonna be Eagles legend Matt Barkley. No, nonetheless. And then last game of like the middle slate here, Commanders versus Seahawks. While Sam Howell has looked very fun, and the Seahawks got absolutely dog walked. I really do think the Seahawks are one of the better teams in the NFL, but it just shows you the difference between the tiers in the NFL. I am going to go the Seahawks over the Commanders. Geno's going to look to have a bounce back game. The offense did not look good against that amazing defense. And the Commanders have nothing close to that Ravens defense. I think the Seahawks are going to win, and I think they're going to cover, but we'll get to that in just a second. But yes, Seahawks.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks. I think it's a classic bounce back game. Teams who get demolished by the spread typically cover the next week, as you were mentioning. Seahawks are just a better team, and it's in Seattle, which, like the stories you hear of Seattle is like it's different. It's a different level of noise effect, and I'm excited to see Sam Howell play, but yeah, I don't think he hangs with Seattle. I think Seattle should win pretty handily, but
yeah. And then as far as Sunday Night Football goes, like I said, I'm
not
really
gonna watch it. I'm boycotting this game. They could have flexed C.J. Stroud and the Bengals.
Yes.
Joe Burrow gets ratings. They could have flexed that in there. Back-to-back Joe Burrow Sunday Night Football, and they didn't. Instead, we have to watch Zach Wilson and Aiden O'Connell. I am boycotting it, and I hope you do.
I might. Dude, if there's a Sixers game, I might. The Sixers have been killing it, but we're a football podcast. This game is just not going to be fun to watch. I'm going to pick the Raiders because I'm picking the better quarterback, but like this game could really, really go either way. Ryan also picked the Raiders, so.
Well, I'm going against you guys. I'm gonna pick the Jets. I think
there you go,
defense,
dude. The Jets.
Defense is legit. That defense is legit. Zach Wilson is not. This will be 13-10, and you will want to cover your eyes. Yeah, go and watch Thunder and Suns on Sunday Night Football. Instead of Sunday Night Football, it's at 7.
Yeah.
Watch the Lakers at 9.
Yeah, I agree.
Do anything but watch
that.
this game, people. I'm saving you from awful football.
The best advice I think I've heard all week. It's not going to be a good game. The But also, like, the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, we don't have time to get into that, but, like,
Oh, he's gonna play.
that's the whole Aaron Rodgers. Anyways, moving on to
Black
Monday Night
Friday
Football.
against the Dolphins. Mark it down. He's playing.
Monday Night,
No, he's not.
Monday Night Football, Broncos versus Bills. Russ is actually, like, he's looking
Cooking.
really freaking good, dude.
He's cooking.
Josh Allen has not looked good. He's playing the hero ball, but it's not turning out as well for him as they would have hoped. But I am going to pick the Bills. They're just the better team by a very wide margin. But honestly, like, we talked about it, and Matt Milano, he's always been, like, underrated, but, like, his presence of not being there is, like, being felt. Like, that defense is not even close to the same as what it was without Matt. But yeah, I'm gonna pick the Bills to win now.
Yeah, the Broncos defense is, like, still really bad. Like, I get people, the last time we saw them, they shut down the Chiefs, but it's still really bad. And I want to find it because I know I had it, but it was something about in the first, like, 4 weeks of the season, the Bills were top 5 in EPA per play on offense and defense. Since then, they have been still top 3 in offensive EPA, and they're bottom 3 in defensive EPA. So it's one of the shocking turnarounds. Who would have thought losing Matt Milano and Trey White for the season would affect your team? Who would have thought? But in this way, it's mind-boggling how big of a shift it is. But yeah, I'm still gonna take the Bills. I'm still gonna take the alien named Josh Allen to win the game, just because.
Yeah,
it's also in Buffalo. Buffalo shows out for those night games.
Yes. All right. And then we actually have a drop for this, guys.
They say winning isn't everything, and that may be true in some cases, but right now, let's make some money. It's time for Pigskin Payout.
Yep. All right, Pigskin Payout. This is the first week that I can, like, participate in this. Matt, you're not 21, are you?
No, I could do player props.
You do player props.
I could do.
There you go.
Hell out of
So I will let you know kind of what I have for this game and for the week. Usually we do Thursday and Sunday, but quite honestly, I don't want anything to do with that Thursday night game, especially if we don't know what Fields is doing. So I'm just gonna do Sunday. I have 4 like game props, and then actually I have 4 game props and then a player prop. But it's like a free player prop, and I'm gonna add it to every single parlay I have until it doesn't hit. But we'll get to that one at the end. I digress. I'm gonna have the Vikings cover the Saints. I know, I'm sorry. That's 2.5. At that point, it's basically money line.
Hey,
but,
my score prediction they covered.
There you go. Hey, you're right. In your score prediction, they did
14.
cover. But I have the Vikings to cover the 2.5. I have the Texans Bengals over 47.5 points. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm so pumped for that game. Under on total points in the Falcons Cardinals game at 44. I'm irrationally high on the Seahawks, but then the Seahawks I have covering minus 6.5 as well. And then the very free parlay leg that if you have not been adding this guy to your parlay, and very specifically this line, what are you doing with yourselves? It's been like 18 weeks in a row now. This is hit. CMC anytime scorer.
Yep.
Like, it's just,
I knew where that was going. Yep.
Yep, it's a must. Like, you have to. Like, until it doesn't hit, it's gonna hit. That's what it is. I can't yet add CMC to my. I can't yet add CMC to the parlay just because Thursday night I have to finish up. But strictly just those games, the Vikings to cover 2.5. Over the Texans Bengals points, under total points for the Falcons and Cardinals, and Seahawks to cover. That is plus 1,358, and odds would only go up if CMC, like if I can add that prop in there for CMC. To the point that I'm going to keep this saved, and once I can add the CMC, I'm going to bet this bet. Like that's how like I'm confident. But confidence isn't always the best. But what are your thoughts on any of those? Any of those stand out as like really bad or like really confident in?
Yeah, I think there is a world where, like, because it has been sunshine and rainbows, I think there is a world where CJ Stroud comes back to earth and they don't hit the over. But other than that, I do like most of that. I think, I think the Vikings and Saints are going to be, they're always a close game. It's always this tight. And so, yeah, I see it. And then the CMC touchdown, it's just, yeah, he just keeps doing it. He keeps doing it, and you keep doing something until it doesn't work anymore. The only thing, you didn't take Dallas. I would take if you don't love the points, I would take an alternate of 6.5. I'm not a gambling advisor.
Yeah.
I want to put money on Dallas winning this game by points because I watched him do it week 1 by 40. And that was with Daniel Jones. And now this is with Tommy DeVito, who might be the worst quarterback we've seen in the last 5 years. Well, Clayton Tune was pretty bad, but.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So I might have to. Right now on DraftKings 16, I'm interested to see what it would be like. What that would do to the odds. Holy moly, that doubles the odds. That singular bet doubles my odds. I'm take it out, and I might do an alternative line there. But anyways, but yeah, now to the second to last final segment, my favorite segment, but just due to time, I don't think we'll be able to talk about this as much as I would have liked. But
pro football isn't the only game in town. Let's take a stroll to Ben's College Corner.
Another great week of football. Arizona, dude, by the way, like U of A, I don't know what heck happened to that team, but for some reason they're good. That just came, they came out of nowhere. Like this came out of nowhere. There wasn't much like craziness that happened this past or like this.
There wasn't any craziness.
There wasn't like okay, there were upsets, obviously, but like I'm saying, like it wasn't like there's the craziness is going to be 2 weeks from now. Is what I'm going to say. Texas won a very close matchup, a matchup that definitely should not have been as close as what it was.
Oh my god, I had nightmares before the game. I was like, oh my god. I was checking the spread. The spread opened at like 6.5. It worked its way down to 4.5. I was like, this is just going to be the OU game all over. And then the kicker missed a 20-yard field goal, but made a 46 with the game on the line. So that was pretty. Oh my god.
A little wild, but yeah, 32-33. The next one that like jumps off the page to me is Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State. The last time they will ever do this because Oklahoma is moving to the SEC, which is wild. It's the last time we'll ever see that happen. Or I don't want to say the last time we'll ever see it happen, but like,
which is dumb. Just dumb.
Yeah. But they Oklahoma State. Yeah, Oklahoma State ended up winning that one, 27-24. Then the next one, I know Georgia won, man. They won 30-21, but man, Mizzou put up a fight. That game was good, and there was a moment there where I thought Mizzou might have won. This is now the second or third time that a team has caught Georgia bleeding, and it just does not look like quite that same Georgia team that we looked like last year. And out of respect to them winning, and them not like losing yet and everything, they have to stay at 1. But shoot, man, they don't quite look like the same team. I'm not gonna have them win the chip. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. And then probably the game that everyone watched, or the most watched game. I don't have the stats in front of me, but the Washington versus USC game. Oh, that game was all offense. Like if this was the Pac-12, like in a singular game summed up, this is the Pac-12. Washington ended up winning 52-42. So I'm very excited. My Washington. I'm saying mine because I'm a big Penix guy. I'd love to see Penix succeed. And I don't want to say Caleb Williams is continuing to spiral because he looked good in that game. But it's that USC team, man. They not playing as good as
the only
they couldn't.
stop
I
they
mean,
got-
that's why you fire your head coach
the
or your
only-
defensive coordinator.
The only stop they got was Penix like getting greedy. Like it
Yeah.
was the first drive out of the half, and Penix was like, "Hell, I'll throw this ball. Why not? What are they gonna do?"
Yeah,
And he threw it, and it was a pick, and it just happens. But like, yeah, it was. Oh my goodness, it was infuriating. It was infuriating to watch. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like neutral. Like I don't care.
yeah, exactly.
I had more attention on LSU and Bama for a while until I'm like, whoa, there's a lot of points being scored by USC and Washington. Let's turn this one on, and then Jaden Daniels got targeted and didn't get called, but
Yeah,
that's besides the point.
dude. My takeaway, like, to be frank, I was like aware of Dylan Johnson. I knew of Dylan Johnson, but he had 26 carries, rushed for 256 yards and 4 touchdowns. If you're letting a running back do that to you on the ground, like he's averaging almost 10 yards a carry, you're gonna lose a game. It's wild. He's a junior. He's this. And to be frank, just to go over to draft stuff real quick, there's not like that running back in this draft class. Again, it's off topic. There's not that like standout
Really?
running back to me in this draft class. I'm gonna be honest with you. But my RB1 right now is the kid from Texas.
Yep.
But
That's who I was mentioning. Yep.
Yep. There you go.
Above and beyond.
I wouldn't say above and beyond. I definitely think he's running back 1. I could see him going round 1, but like if I'm a team,
Yeah, he's not going round 1.
yeah, there's not quite that guy in this class. But he's that kid from Texas. Something about Texas and recruiting running backs. But then like the final,
Tashard Choice is the best running back. Just like Ohio State has Brian Hartline, we have Tashard Choice.
It's wild. It's
turning
wild. And then kind of the last game of like the past week that I wanted to touch on a little bit. LSU lost to Alabama 42-28. Like you said, I watched that game for a little bit, but then I made the switch over to the Pac-12. But it's fun. Alabama's gonna freaking find a way, and it's gonna make me mad, man. It's gonna make me mad. I don't want to. I'm so sick of.
They won their games.
I just don't.
Like they won the 2 games they had to win. This LSU game and the early Ole Miss game. Those were the games they had to win this year, and they won them. And I feel like it's. I could look at their schedule. The rest of their schedule is so they're at Kentucky at 11:00. Then they have the cupcake game against Chattanooga, and then the Iron Bowl. That's it. If they like, I think with the way the records are, if Ole Miss loses this weekend, I think Bama wins. Bama clinches a spot in the SEC championship. Like
Yes.
and Ole Miss plays Georgia. So, yeah, I remember after the Texas game, all anyone could do is discredit the Texas win, which is just what you do. Oh, Bama's not the same Bama. They're not the same team. This team's going to be 11-1 playing for the SEC championship again. And Texas was the only team to beat them.
Sickening, bro. I'm not prepared for
Not
it.
sold?
I don't.
You want something new. All right. Root your heart out for Jackson Dart this weekend.
Yeah,
Dart.
well, he is a special. I like Jack. It's. I think it comes. I really do think it's just like a Matt Corral effect, but like I do have a place in my heart for Ole Miss. It's just.
It's also their uniforms. They have the
dude,
powder.
some of the best. Oh my gosh.
It's beautiful.
Yep. But as far as a look to this week, there's three main games, or three. Yep, three like huge games I want to touch on. Obviously, I'm saving my favorite game for last. But Tennessee versus Mizzou, both ranked opponents. It's both ranked opponents. It's gonna be fun. SEC always has these battles like that. And I'm hoping, I'm pulling for Mizzou, man. I'm really pulling for Mizzou. The next one here, sorry guys. The next one here is going to be Utah versus Washington. Dude, if Utah actually had a good quarterback and their quarterback didn't get hurt, they'd be a frightening team. This is just something like Utah does. They just hang around.
They'd be the same team that they've been the last 2 years that played in the Rose Bowl.
Yep. It's gonna be fun. I'll let you talk about that game just real quick for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's Washington just came off of a massive win. I think this solidifies Penix as the Heisman frontrunner, and this could be the game that he really just kind of takes it by the horns. Yeah.
Marvin's my pick for Heisman. It's not going to happen.
Really?
But,
wow.
Yeah, for sure.
Taking a Buckeye.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. There's actually one more game too before I talk about my game that I want to talk about a little bit more. It's
okay. Let me get your thoughts. What are your thoughts? Because there's been a lot of discourse about it. What is your thoughts on the top six?
Top six.
Are they getting it right? Like, because a lot of people want, like, myself included, until they're beaten, I think Georgia should be number one. If we're doing the resume game, then fine, you can.
Are we
Ohio State.
AP poll or college committee?
Football, the playoff rankings,
the
committee rankings.
We talked about this. I think, as much as I'm not a fan of it, I agree with it. There was one. Oh, it was Texas. I feel like Texas should have been ranked like a little bit higher, but that's nonetheless. I think everything.
Then Oregon beats Utah 35-6. Yeah, like I was the same as you. I was like Texas is a little low, but then the teams in front of them just keep winning, or they're Oregon. So yeah. I think that's the only mistake. I think Ohio State and Georgia should be flipped. That's my only of like the top 10. That's my only gripe, because this Georgia team has not lost. Like, they have not lost. They have not. Fine, they've looked vulnerable, but so did Ohio State. Ohio State needed 10 guys on the field to beat Notre Dame. So
yeah,
where would they be? Where would they be if that play doesn't go? I just wanted to get your take on it.
Yeah, if we're doing resumes, I think
it's Ohio State. Yeah, like
it's Ohio State. It's one of those close ones, but it's okay. So Ohio State won't.
If Michigan throttles Penn State, I spoiled your game of the week, but.
Yeah, no, you're good. I mean, everyone knows it at this point. I mean, I was just building up the suspense that one. It's God, dude. That game is gonna be. If they just need to get past Penn State, I think they will. But there's that worry within my head, but we'll get there. But real quick before we do get to that game, USC versus Oregon. Like, this one's gonna be fun. We just saw a shootout between those two, between USC and Washington. And it's going to come down to Washington, Oregon. I understand Oregon beat them, or Oregon lost the first time around, but I really do wonder what it'd look like if they play this on a neutral site, hence the Pac-12 championship and whatnot, because that was a close game. So it'll be fun. I'm actually interested to see how that game turns out, and if it's anything like the game we just saw. But then, yeah, Michigan versus Penn, man. It's so tough because I really do believe Michigan's a better team, but there's just so much gosh darn talent on that Penn State team, man. Olu Fashanu. I'm blanking on the name of that corner. It's gonna drive me wild.
Kalen King, Chop Robinson.
Robinson,
is Chop still out? I know.
No, I think Chop is coming for this game. Chop is honestly disappointed me a little bit. He has not played as well as what I would have hoped, but I still think he's a Yep. Yeah, they said he looks good and is hopeful to play.
All right.
Well,
there we go.
But I mean, Michigan, just like my Eagles, have the best offensive line within the country.
They have 7. They have 7 offensive linemen who could start like tomorrow in the NFL. I genuine believe that. It's that good.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
it's but so like there's just so much talent, but Michigan, like, I think Michigan will win, but it is still, I mean, it's one of those games. It's going to be scary. Jim Harbaugh historically hasn't been very good at winning these games. He has been the last couple times.
It's one of those big boy games for Penn State too. I think Penn State could finish in the exact scenario as they did last year. 10-2, be in the Rose Bowl. You lost to Michigan and Ohio State. You already lost to one of them. Now you get this one on your home field. So this one it's kind of one of those, like, it means more for Penn State and James Franklin, in my opinion, because at that point, like, I don't think James Franklin has to go. I've seen that take fly around, but I think this one is just one of those games that it means more. It means more for Penn State, just a little bit for Michigan.
I'm worried. I am a little worried that, like, it's going to be a game. Jim Harbaugh is usually really good at it. I'm not too worried about it, but I'm worried that Michigan is going to overlook this one just a little bit, say we're going to do Penn State, and I don't think it's going to, but
that's what Purdue was for. Like, you got to, like, you could go play 75% against Purdue, but you better be 100 for Penn State. I think that should be the vibe, and I feel like it is the vibe with the way Harbaugh has been the last few years. Like, this team is national championship or bust. So maybe I'm speaking too much and saying it means more to Penn State when I just said Michigan is national championship or bust. But where does this take Penn State if they win this game? Where does this take them? In the top 6?
I would say so. So I don't know about top 4, but top 6. Because if Michigan loses, I think you have to bump up Washington before you bump up Penn State.
If Penn State wins this game, the hell scenario among us kind of reaches, which is where it's like the 3 of them beat each other at the top, and they're all 11-1. Who gets to play that Big Ten title game, that cupcake Iowa game where Iowa's going to score 10 points?
I didn't even think about it. Dude, that's
going to be it's
possible.
It's fun. I love college football.
Yeah, it is. College football is the best, man.
Guess what? And next year 12 teams are going to be in, and none of we're going to be like, well, Penn State's
it's going to be great.
Then.
Yep. And then just real quick before I move on to Weddle and make this like a 2-hour-long podcast episode, Ryan has given me a line that he likes for Pigskin Payout for the Thursday game. Ryan said he actually put money down on this. I'm not going to disclose how much, but he says Bears money line over 38.5 points, which has a bigger pair of cojones on me. I mean, me and you were talking about maybe doing the under, but over on 38.5 points, and then Cole Kmet anytime score. Cole Kmet has been on fire as of recently, so I could see that.
Lost Tyrann Mathieu.
that is Thursday night Pigskin Payout that Ryan has whipped up for us today. And then now we will move on to the last segment here.
It's time for America's favorite game, Weddle.
Yes, I'm excited. I don't know what your record is here with Weddle with us, but
undefeated.
I took it again last week. I don't know what the record is overall. I'm sure Ryan will text me and tell me what it is. But I don't know what the overall record is. I just know I'm in front of Ryan by like roughly 10 points. So it'll be fun if I can keep that streak alive with you, and if I can beat you, we'll see. I am I'm interested with that. Now let me pull Weddle up here for you guys. Bam. I will give you the option. Do you want to start off, or do you want me to start?
I want to start. CJ Stroud.
Okay. Imagine, dude. I was worried. My heart. Phew. My guess is a wide receiver because I feel like that's kind of too small. It could be a running back as well. But with the number, it makes me think.
6'1".
Yeah.
NFC. Not a
NFC wide receiver 6'1". I'm gonna go with AJ. Yeah, I'm gonna go with AJ. He's gonna be right on the edge. Okay, fine. There it is. Oh, okay. Wide receiver height was correct.
6'1",
NFC 6'1".
27 or 28. The number's not close.
No.
I'm thinking of the West. Cooper Kupp. No, Cooper Kupp's 10.
The height there too wouldn't work out for Cooper Kupp.
How tall is Cooper Kupp? I thought he was 6'1".
Cooper Kupp is like 6'3".
There's no way. That's a lie.
It's actually absurd. Cooper Kupp is like way taller than what you would think he is.
Let's go
I
out
have
of the
to look at his
box.
height.
Josh Reynolds, Detroit Lions.
Cooper Kupp is 6'2". Yeah,
Okay.
it's wild.
Well, he's taller than AJ Brown.
Yeah, right, dude. That's every
Whoa.
single time I see it, I'm just like, that's wild. Honestly, this could be it. Okay, it's not. I
Ugh.
never eat. So it's in
He's
the
27.
West.
He's 6'3". Jeez.
All right,
I didn't know
6'2".
that number, Josh.
That's what I'm saying. All right, so he's a 6'2" wide receiver, either in
The West.
the South or West. The South
No,
is
it
going to be
can't
the
be.
Niners. There's no one on
No,
the
he's
Niners that
27.
stands out. No one on the Niners that stand out. There's no one on the Rams that stands out. Cardinals. There's no one on the Cardinals that stands out, and there's no one on.
DK?
Oh, DK. Is DK 27?
Dude, he's been around.
Yeah, I mean DK could work because AJ's 26, and the number works out for DK.
Mm-hmm. 14.
A 14 in the South. Come on.
Godwin.
Is Godwin 6'2"?
Godwin. Yep.
Wow, I didn't realize he was that tall. It's wild. Wow.
Well, the 14 helped us. All right. Now
Yes.
Now we hate each other, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Now we don't. Do you want me to go or do you want to go?
I want to go. I'm the guest. I get to go.
Okay.
Let's go with who's kind of a median player. I'm thinking too hard about this.
Dude, you know what throws me off? I always think that too. I'm like, oh, it can't be this
Lattimore.
guy because it's too hard.
Lattimore's kind of in the middle. Yeah, Marshawn Lattimore.
Oh, what a
He's
pull!
kind of in the middle. All right.
What a pull! What throws
corner.
me off too is like I overthink you sometimes, and like one time it was like Fred Warner on the hard mode. I'm like, what is Fred Warner doing? Here.
Oh, do I know who it is?
That'd be a shame if you do.
No, but you would get it
Number.
if you think about it.
There's a player that comes to mind, but
I think this guy.
there's not.
Let me make sure. I wanna check out his name and.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, he fits it. Okay.
Oh, a shame. Now you know who it is. Great.
I think I do. I don't wanna
Okay.
say you should get it though. I'll just say that. Yep, he got it. Damn.
Okay. Well, because I was like, oh, Slay. I'm like, no, Slay changed his number to 2.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah,
it can't be
he's thinking-
Slay. But then I was like,
Look at
wait.
it.
I was like 23. I was like, he's 24. I didn't realize he was. Wow.
I didn't think.
That's
I
wild.
thought he was 28. Man.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was 30, man.
I
That is
should have
wild.
guessed James Bradbury on the first guess. Man.
Unbelievable. Tisk. But no, any last words for this podcast? Because let's be honest, you're going to be back on. It's only a matter of time, especially when draft season rolls around. But I would be very surprised if it doesn't happen before that. But any like shout outs, any places they could follow you, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, M Hart NFL. If you want to see another 20-year-old talk about football and thinks he knows everything about what he's talking about, go follow me there. I retweet some cool stuff and I tweet some cool stuff. That's about it. I do like some writing on Medium. If you just search my name, Matt Hartman, on Medium, you'll find some articles that I've written in the past. I assume I'll be writing more. Maybe I do the Busworthy podcast again. I have a hard time finding motivation to do a solo podcast about football.
Yeah.
Is what it is. And of course, Hook 'em Horns. So we're making the playoffs. We're making the playoffs.
It's, dude, a dream scenario is if all three of our teams make the playoffs.
Ewers is back. He's day to day. So hopefully that means he plays against TCU and we go on to the Big 12 championship and the Cowboys.
There's a very realistic chance that Michigan beats OSU. So then Michigan takes the win over OSU.
It's our three teams and then Georgia. Like we're all kind of banding together to like take down this
tell Georgia to screw off. Yeah, but there is a realistic scenario where Michigan wins out. And if Michigan wins out, that has Michigan. Not only does that make Michigan like hopefully at that point would have been undefeated, but that gives the conference championship over to Michigan. But then in that case, if Texas wins out, Texas has that chip over, or has that, like, I don't want to say chip, but like that card in their back pocket to say, hey, we have a conference championship over OSU, which could maybe put, like, we talked about Bama, which could put Michigan at 1, Georgia at 2, Texas at 3, and OSU at 4, which would be huge. And if that happens, we could see a Michigan versus there's a very, very real possibility we see a Michigan versus Texas national championship.
The only thing that stands in that way is if Washington doesn't beat itself or Oregon doesn't beat itself. Like if say Oregon loses, because they still face Oregon State and USC.
Mm-hmm.
Say they lose one of those games, still make the conference championship, spoil Washington. All of a sudden, Washington's 12-1, doesn't have a championship. That's the only way I see it happening, because Washington is they're a wagon right now. They can't lose. It feels like so. That's the only way of the Pac. But it would be so fitting for the Pac-12 in its final season to just kill itself for the last time for all of us. It would be great.
It could be. Well, and the other possibility there too is Georgia wins out, Michigan wins out, and you can make the case to keep.
I don't think Texas controls their own destiny. I
think. Yeah, I guess it's tough. I guess you're relying on like a Michigan or something. But my thing is so if Michigan wins out, Georgia wins out, Washington wins out, and Texas wins out, I think those have to be like in order. It has to be Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Texas.
Yeah, I think my big thing is if Florida State is 12-1 as a championship.
I forgot about Florida State.
Washington is 12-1 with a championship, and Texas is 12-1 with a championship. They're kind of going, what is the worst conference? It's the Big 12. Like, of the three, probably the Big 12. So and even then, they're still going to rank Florida higher, or Florida State higher.
They would rank Florida State higher, but it's a conversation definitely for another episode.
Yeah, we're just
but I would say ACC is worse than the Big 12.
I think, I'm not trying to put things in your head, but I would love to table this conversation for championship week when we know the championships. For a one final discussion.
So, you know what? I'll make this promise to everyone that is listening or will listen at some point before championship weekend. If this is a conversation that can actually be had. Like, we can realistically look at this and say it. And honestly, even if we don't, again, Matt's gonna be back on for the draft and everything. But like, even if not, like, I think it's definitely a possibility. But if it is a possibility, we will have Matt on. Mark my words, and we will talk about these scenarios. I mean, that's the fun thing. We'll talk about these scenarios.
It's an awesome scenario. It's an awesome.
Yes, it is. But yes, again, huge thank you to you, Matt, for coming on, filling in that spot. Make sure you guys go ahead and follow us at the Pigskin Project. Again, Matt gave you guys his handle. And big thank you to Uppercuts Grooming and Spotify Podcast. Thank you guys. Yes. Oh, and I realized I didn't put the number. This is episode 90. I can't believe I forgot that. Episode 90. Thank you guys for tuning in. Come back for 91. We will be posting more consistent.
Wrong.
I did.
It just says Passnaut.
Yep.
It's one of those days.
It's one of those days, guys. This is why we need Ryan here. Ryan holds me together. You know, we're both good football minds, but he's more organized, better at this stuff than I am. But again, I'm here to look pretty and talk about football, not spell things correctly. But again, go follow us on socials. We'll be posting more consistently on TikTok. It's just been a very long, rough 2 weeks from me and Ryan. And thank you guys. Be sure to tune in at 10:30 Eastern time, 9:30 Central next week. And we will see you guys next week.